Hey guys, welcome back to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. I'm Jazz Marie, aka Vevna Forrow. So, previously on the podcast, I was talking about, what to take in consideration before, going through the application process to become a nonprofit, right? So, yeah, you can listen back to that episode. I was just sharing, some thoughts about it and some of the risks to take into account and all of that. So, yeah, today's going to be another spotlight episode. So you may see here if you're watching the video where I share my screen out on Spotify, YouTube, or elsewhere. I am on Bullshit Lit today. Yes. So I love that name, by the way. I think you guys who have been following this podcast in the earlier episodes, right, you may be aware that totally, when I started my Lit Mag and, too, Dippity, right? Or just doing more poetry publications and things of that nature. I had those in my fam totally say that everything was bullshit. Totally. And yeah, but poetry, again, I mentioned this on the podcast a couple of times, guys, and I'll say it again. Poetry, literary arts, it's not bullshit, right? Creative writing is so important, it's valuable. We express ourselves and communicate important messages. We highlight events in the world through our writing, even, or things we've gone through, right? Moments in time, even. And yeah, it can be fun too. Like we can do fictional riots, all kinds of things, yeah, so we so need literary arts again. And it's not bullshit, but I love the name nevertheless, totally. Bullshit lit. So I wanted to take the time to share it because, by the way, they are actually, it says, I don't know if you guys can see the top of my screen, but it says the resurrection of Bullshit Lit will take place today. So I think originally it had October 6th, which was yesterday. And I was on the site a bit last night and then it switched to this. So yeah, I believe it's opening back up right now at the moment as of October 7th here, 2025. So sometimes lit mags take breaks, for it could be a couple months and then they reopen, right? Everyone has different windows. So yeah, so let's get started here. I want to cover it again because I think they have a very cool lit mag and also press. Yes, there is bullshit lit and bullshit press. So yeah, I'm gonna have to mark this episode as explicit, guys, or because of language. It's not, a huge deal, but that's how whenever you're, posting on channels, right? Anytime you say any curse word or anything like that, or even if it's just minor, they just want you to mark it. So yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm gonna say on this podcast that quite a bit for sure. But yeah, so let's cover the overview. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Same, same old, right? And do some commentary around it for you guys. Yeah. So we scroll to the bottom on Chill Sub's overview page. Here it says here that Bullshit Lit was founded back in 2021, so they've been around for 4 years, right? Yeah, and it's an online lit mag and press based in Philadelphia. And yeah, it says new shit every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Lovers of bad poems, ugly prose, plus lazy lore. A home for good artists, worst art. Bullshit Lit is a literary magazine and indie press based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Founded in, again, October 2021, right? So yeah, by Veronica Bennett, the editor in chief. Yeah, and the magazine publishes poetry, prose, fiction, art, and works that defy traditional categories, positioning itself as an antidote to overly earnest or pretentious literary calls, embracing the inane, the ugly, and the funky. Yes, I love that part, the funky. I totally have. I think growing up when I was little, or there were quite a few songs that had funky in it. I just used to dance to them, guys. Oh gosh, some good memories there. Anyways, so yeah, it says Philadelphia here, but I think if you go on, the where it's based, right? But if you go to Duotrope, I think originally, and this could be because the founding editors sometimes relocate or move, or or sometimes even editors pass the torch down to someone else and they're located elsewhere, or sometimes there's co-founders and one takes over, one doesn't. But I think originally, it was founded out of Houston, Texas, based on Duotrope. And yeah, so it's possible the founding editor relocated. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, it says get funky with it again here, right? Totally. So yeah, and then yeah, there are other publishing projects here, which I'll show you on the website when we go over there and hop back over. So there's the Bullshit Anthology, Bullshit Lit Online Features, and then Bullshit Lit Press. And there is also a horn series, right? But it has, I think, DNQ by it. So there are different qualifications for listings on Duotrope for them to be, up and posted. So just keep that in mind. I've covered on this podcast various listing sites and directories that you should, or in the earlier portion of the series Q&As, on how to find, lit mags and journal calls, right? There are various places you can get listed so others can find you. If you start your own lit mag journal press, right? So would recommend going through the Q&A portion of the series. You typically can tell which ones are those if they don't have like a circle on them, and yeah, if you see the cat and the guy with the question marks, totally the digital Claudia did. So yeah, let's go over back real quick through some of the stats before I go to the website for you guys. Yeah. So it looks like the editor reported acceptance rate is 30%. And then the chill subs tracker stats, those who use chill subs to, you know, uh, track the decision of their submission, it's about 27.44% in terms of acceptance rate. So, yeah, there is no fee to submit. They do publish reprints. Now, when it says publishes reprints, you have to keep in mind that could be for certain calls or categories, like some lit magazine journals, for example, um, you know, uh, only allow previously published short stories, or for certain calls or categories. So I'm not saying about bullshit lit, but yeah, just keep that in mind. On any lit mag and journal, to mainly look on their website, look at the calls. What is that permitted over? Is it poetry? Is it all calls? So yeah, and maybe that'll change on chill subs. I don't know, if a hover of some kind. But yeah, nominates for prizes again. There are print issues, response time. It looks like the editors reported an average of 20 days getting back to others, and others have who have submitted have reported 18 days. So yeah, accept simultaneous submissions, and yeah. So we go to calls here. So it says closed right now, but I believe it's just opening back up. So obviously the editors in chief, sometimes have to go back and update this. Some places have reoccurring windows and things like that they could schedule out in advance, or yeah. So this might be updated soon. Some editors, I myself have forgotten to update sometimes chill subs, to myself. So yeah. But you can see, I don't know if this was from the last call here, but you can see there's art, general, memoir, literary, and yeah. So again, no fee. It says up to 6 pieces on these. So we'll have to verify that on the website. Always a good idea to do so. Yeah. And then, yeah, so you can see on the back end, if you go into stats, right, how many submissions were tracked through chill subs in terms of like the decision, right? So yeah. Um, yeah, so that's a breakdown. So it looks like out of 272 submissions that were tracked for those who had chill subs profiles, right? 65 were accepted, rejected 156, pending 18, withdrawn 8. Now, sometimes those that are on pending, it could be some writers forgot to update what the ultimate decision was, and yeah. And yeah, so let's head over to the website now and take a look. So yeah, again, Bullshit Lit publishes poetry, prose, fiction, art, and stuff that doesn't fit into any of those categories. So inspired by a stack of silly little poems, Bullshit Lit again is the antithesis to those flowery submission calls for, like, and I'm quoting this, the deepest echo in your heart canyon. It doesn't take itself that seriously. New online features, it looks like there are 4 or more times a week, and then new books are almost every month. So yeah, new online features, there are 4 or more times a week, and then new books almost every month. Yeah, so again, Veronica Bennett is the editor in chief, and yeah, on the main page here we have a place to subscribe. So getting online feature publications in the inbox, and then there's an FAQ section. So I think it's always a good idea to have an FAQ section of some kind for your lit mag or journal. Others should be able to find rights. When you're open. Your schedule. And all of that, right? Just look at I've shown a couple different lit magazine journals on here. Our FAQ just has submit on it because that's something others can look at before they submit, right? I always say make sure you scroll through all of the FAQs, main ones before submitting. Always look it over, not just read the call, because you don't want to miss anything, right? Always good to have reminders, and FAQ sections are important. So yeah, so it says here, if we expand, do you reject good poems? It says nope. And then what makes something bullshit? So there's humor here for sure. A piece of work is bullshit if its author believes it is to be so. And then it says here, so for when new work is published, right? So again, online features come out every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The new print anthology, one new print anthology containing entirely unpublished work is released annually. New collections of poetry, prose, and hybrid work are released every month, and Horns is biannual. Yeah, so there are a couple different, publications that Bullshit Lit does, and Bullshit Press, it looks like. So there's a print anthology, and then, Horns, right? And then the online feature section. And then submissions, right? So submissions for Bullshit's online features, anthologies, horns, and books, that's everything. So it says currently closed, but they are going to be open back up. So I think the site's in process of being updated at the moment, right? So yeah, this week is probably, so I would circle back totally and check out, their calls. It's probably going to open up very soon here again, so that says the resurrection is happening. So yeah, this, it could be this week or this month, very soon, that this gets updated. So if you're interested in submitting to them, totally. I myself, guys, have submitted to Bullshit Lit in the past. I think a couple years back. It's been a while. Again, I took a break from time to time, and sometimes I submit to places for fun. And yeah, it's very cool, to read other publications out there again. So I just like, talking about them too, and pointing out some things that stand out to me. So payment. So there is no payment, it looks like, for online features, but it looks like those who have book publications through, I think, Bullshit Press, can earn $5 a book sold, and then $3 per PDF sold. So that's nice. There are some earnings there. I think royalties again are very tricky for presses, in general, in terms of managing and tracking that, especially if you again grow to a size of like, 50, 100, 200 publications, it can be kind of tough to juggle all of that, so just keep that in mind. I sort of discussed that a little bit on Bottle Cap Press episode and Go City Press, right? So you can dig through the episodes and listen back to my thoughts on that. But yeah, that's still very awesome. Not, some places start off small, with a couple dollars per sale, and some increase that. Some do, some presses do 50-50 splits, or, different, things, structures there. So it's a little bit different at every press and lit mag, right? And then, so right, so again, if selected for Horns or the anthology online features publications, right, Bullshit reserves first to your rights and first electronic rights. If you don't know what that means, I do have an episode where I discuss that a little bit. And it's so important, again, if you're a submitter listening to this too, to always be aware of, what rights, you have. Some places, again, they're like, we don't want you submitting this piece anywhere else for the next 6 to 12 months, or things like that, or yeah, typically this is pretty standard, first through rights and first electronic rights, but not every single place has this in terms of rights. You want to read very carefully before submitting to places what rights are, and typically you'll find that in the FAQ section or somewhere on their website. It should be visible. Yeah, so upon publication, copyright reverts to, it says the author of the work, and then if the work, that was accepted is published elsewhere following, again, publication and bullshit, whether it be print or online, all that is asked that, bullshit is credited as the original publisher. So yeah, that's pretty standard. I've seen in most lit mags and journals and presses, even, some places have different, again, right structures, so you just want to be mindful about that. So yeah, but that's great, yeah. So let's check out more of the site here. So we have the masthead here. I think I mentioned already Veronica Bennett, right? So um, yeah. So Veronica Bennett. I don't always read about founding editors, but sometimes I do. Or if there's a large team, I probably can't read all bios. But since it's just Veronica, I will read it here. So Veronica Bennett is a Best of the Net nominated poet, editor, web, and graphic designer, former barista, and a whole bunch of other stuff. She has had poems published in Rejection Letters, Anti-Heron Chic, and Fifth Wheel Press, Jake, and elsewhere. Veronica was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and now she lives in Philly. Oh yeah, so yeah, it looks like Veronica was originally from Houston, Texas, and then relocated to Philly. So yeah, and yeah, so it is a one-person operation. So that's amazing, considering all the publications, the online features. That's a lot of work for sure. And yeah, some of these URLs may not be active, so just keep that in mind. I think I clicked on one of these and it didn't take me to an interview. So yeah, but I think it was the Chill Subs one. Sometimes pages are updated and stuff, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, again, very, very cool again. And I think the website has a very clean layout. So there's past contributors here. Let's click on that and see what it looks like. So yeah, that's cool. All past contributors are alphabetized here. Yeah, not everyone does this, so I think this is nice. Yeah. So I won't scroll through all of it, but you can see, some places do this. They do a list of past contributors and link out all their work and things like that. So yeah, if we click on one of these, it takes us to a publication, right? A story, right? So yeah, and then you can read more, and yeah, so that's nice. Let's see what the donation section looks like. So yeah, some places have buy me a coffee pages, and yeah, this is something you could do. I believe this is the one that is KO-FI. So I always get, I'm sure others are aware of buy me a coffee, and then there's also the one that looks like Wi-Fi, right? So this is the one they're using, the one that looks like Wi-Fi, the coffee. So KO-FI, right? For a while, guys, I was calling it Ko-Fi. When I first saw it, but yeah, you can change it, I think, to buy me a pizza too, or the icon, I think, anyways. But yeah, I think, that's great. It's good to have some sort of donation page or section. I think I showed you in this podcast, some places were using Give Butter, or various Patreon pages, or even a buy me a coffee, or like this, or there's a nonprofit fundraiser options too, or there's nonprofit various donation systems out there too, a lot of different ones. But I've seen quite a few use buy me a coffee pages, and yeah, Patreon, and Raisely, and Give Butter. So yeah, tons out there though. So yeah, this site, I think again was built with Squarespace, right? Yeah, as it states here, and I think I showed you in a couple episodes back when I was covering website builders how to sort of determine, if you're looking for, wondering what a place used to build a website. There's a way to, again, always view the page source, and just to see that too. Yeah, so there it looks like writing conferences, and it says hosting fees, book printings. So yeah, donations def help. So yeah, always a good idea to have a donation page. Let's see events. So it looks like there have been release parties in the past, and that's great. I don't think, not every lit mag or journal, or press does release parties, for anthologies or book releases. So I think that's really nice that there are actual events, others can attend, and yeah, so that's cool. And let's see what else we have here. So we have a contact section, always a good idea, right? To have a contact section, absolutely. And yeah, so let's go to the online features section now. So yeah, there's a search here, so you can easily find publications, and it looks like some are individual publications here, and yeah, and there's a letter right here. Actually, let's look at the letter. So yeah, it says bullshit lit is back. So um, yeah. So it looks like they're catching up, or Veronica is catching up here, right? And yeah, it looks like yeah, so I think this is helpful to send out updates like this to others. Have a mailing list of some kind. It states how many submissions are left to read, and yeah, and a backlog. So yeah, so there's an upcoming plan here, right? It says to release the fifth issue of Horns on Valentine's Day 2026 in the future too. And yeah, and a new poem that is up, and also a book that the author also has, and looks like a 20 something poem by Megan Williams. And yeah, so let's take a look at that book. So yeah, so it looks like Bullshit Press, right, has various chapbooks, collection of poems, right? This one is 68 pages, and yeah, so yeah. So yeah, Veronica, you can see here, is literally doing all of the shipping and herself. It looks like, right, one trip to USPS, right, being caught up and sending out orders and contributor copies. So she absolutely does take the time to do all of that. The shipping of it, managing orders, publishing online. Getting the listings up. For the shop. The shop here where others can purchase, right. Yeah, it's a lot of work, no doubt. So yeah. So yeah. And then it says here October 8th is the fourth birthday of Bullshit. So that's awesome. Happy birthday, absolutely, in advance. I think Veronica does an awesome job from what I can tell. Everything's very organized, and it looks pretty cool. The overall setup of the structure of the literary magazine and then the press. So yeah, happy birthday, October 8th. That's an accomplishment. A lot of lit mags, journals, and presses, sometimes they don't even make it past the first 2 years, or at all. And again, it could be through life events, or just sometimes others decide maybe it's not for me running a lit mag journal press. So I think it's awesome to celebrate that fourth birthday for sure. We had at the Lit Mag and Press I Run, right, Dippity, we had our birthday, our third birthday, just in September, right? And yeah, so I would say September 3rd, but actually I think it was September 2nd, or like close to midnight. It was like on the edge. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, always a good idea to put an update of some kind like this. So that's nice. Letting others where you are. And in terms of your backlog, what to expect, what's ahead. Some sort of plan. I think it's always a good idea to have a mailing list, or to even push that to the blog section of the site. Something visible for others to see. And yeah. So let's go back here. And yeah, you can see the poem here, right? And let's click into one of these just to see an example of the layout for you guys. So yeah, this was just today. And yeah, so there's the, again, bio at the bottom, the work, right? The poem. And then some poems are grouped here, if you're watching again the video. Some poems are grouped by two, it looks like, or three. And yeah, some lit mags and journals totally do that. They group poems out if there are, for a call, if they allow, up to, 3, 4, 5, 6 poems. Sometimes if there are more than one poem is accepted, they'll group them together like this, or some publications I've had acceptances through myself, they will split them out, across a scheduled, time. And, so then it's not back to back by the same author. And it could be beneficial to do that if, like I think certain publications do, photograph pairing with the work, or different artworks too. Or some places like to sprinkle the publications across the year, instead of group them together, or have a alternative schedule, right? So it's not always grouped together like that. But yeah, I think it also can save time grouping together poems like that in a sense, um, but yeah, some choose to split it out, or some group it together. We've done group together poems like this for some of our calls, over general. But I think going forward, you're probably going to split them out, or just continue doing groups, on our site pages probably. And we're restructuring things to a Dipty a little bit. But yeah, overall, very clean layout. We can see here stories, right? Let's click into a story, right? So yeah, you can see the publication dates visible, right? And yeah, the story, right? And yeah. So some places put, one story, one poem, two poems, right? Or things like that, right? In the title. Some places, again, I think, if you want the title of the piece to be visible in the, it could be the blog or publication section of your Litmer journal. And this is a blog section. So again, I mentioned on this podcast, a lot of websites or online publications convert the blog section or space of the site to the place where all the short stories are, the poems, and yeah, online ones and features, right? So yeah, are housed. And yeah, so again, you could do this, group by two, or have individual titles out and separate out the publications, like that. It's totally up to you. I think the thing about having them grouped together, then poets don't have, like, let's say they got three acceptances or something, right, from the same publication, then they don't have three different links, right? They just have that one link to the group of three poems too. So yeah. Anyways, it's up to you really. It's a preference thing, I think. So yeah. Um, but overall, very clean, organized. Everything's easy to find. There is a search, right? So we go back to the home page here, and yeah, I just clicked on the title again. So typically, when you click on a title on most websites, it's always a good idea to link back to the home page, of course. Yeah. And then if we scroll down here, so we went through online features again, and latest titles again. So these are from the press that Veronica runs too, right? And yeah, so very cool titles. Let's click into some of these in a bit here, but you can scroll down and see they're also publications for the year here again. Yeah, I think these are online features again. So yeah, so others can come across them in more than one page here. So that's great. Yeah. Yeah, so I think if there are, if there's ever like 5, 10 years of publications, probably it'd be a little bit of scrolling there, right? Totally. So I like how the online features section has, again, this search, so you can easily find things. But again, you can do like Control F on your keyboard. There's shortcuts to pull up a search in your browser too. So if you're looking for something specific, but always a good idea to have a search somewhere, like this again. Always point that out, because I know some late magazine journals I've come across. I was like, where's the search? How do I find this particular poet's work that I wanted to look up? Or someone in the community, a past contributor, I saw they, I want to read their work. They got a, I try to, read the work of past contributors totally, and from time to time, and check out their publications, try to reshare them, and do the best I can from time to time. But yeah, let's check out Bullshit Lit Press. I think I've gone through all the pages here. Not yet, but let's check out the press, and then I'll come back to the other pages. So yeah, this is, again, one chapbook, a poetry chapbook, 68 pages. Looks like it's $15. Lemons by Kyle Brosnians. I apologize if I mispronounce any names, but yeah. So yeah, very organized. You can see here there are even some, it looks like quotes in terms of sometimes press is what you can do, if you start one after your lit manga journal, right? Or you could start a press beforehand. Some places start as a press and also then dive into creating literary, um, zines or, magazine issues. Or some places start off as a literary arts magazine and then, open up a press. Or some just strictly stick to online publications and or just do an online lit manga journal. So it's up to you. But yeah, you can see here this could be a review of it. It looks like from another editor in chief. And yeah, so we have the editor of Be About It Press and Taco Bell Quarterly, who have quotes here. I don't know if these are advanced praises or they were done after the book's release, but in either case, oftentimes poets, right, they have reviews of their work. We also had one recently, and you can, what you can do with that, you could, sometimes you could put, if you have an advanced one, in advance, you could put it on the back of the book, you could put it beneath the publication. You could even put the quote out on, Amazon or the shop listings and quote that, So, I think it's nice when, you have reviews, like bite-sized reviews on chapbooks and publications, right? It helps others really gauge the publication, a little bit more, about it, others' thoughts. Always a good idea to have, reviews, right? There are some totally places out there that do nothing but, or do more than that, but they do reviews actually on poetry chapbooks and publications, or they accept book reviews, right, of work out there. So yeah, some places do that, and yeah. So yeah, you can see here there is an ISBN on the back of it looks like the press publications here. So yeah, again, I have an episode where I covered, right, the importance of having, an ISBN on your publications. Whether you're doing a literary arts magazine or a journal or a chapbook series, right? I think it's worth it to, it's additional cost to you to get an ISBN, but it's worth it, if you're looking to, get into distribution channels. Of course, you could still have events where, the books are sold and table events, and some stores totally carry places without that. However, it's, it's difficult, I think, absolutely without, an ISBN. If you're just selling it off your site and you're not really looking to really dive into distribution channels, all of that, yeah, then that's fine. Some presses, they don't put ISBNs on the back, and we don't do that on all of our series either. But yeah, I think going forwards for like the restructuring or literary arts magazine, we are going to do both. We registered for the ISSN, right? We have that, and then we also have we're gonna have barcodes on the back, right? ISBNs. So just want to show an example. This is of a chapbook though. So yeah, you see the prices above it, and yeah. So listen back to that ISBN and then ISSN episode, the difference between them. I think really it helps to see, look at, the next time you pick up issues and publications, right? Look at the back of them and see how the, barcode is formatted, and just an example, and yeah, or whether the publication has one or not. It's up to you. Again, it's going to be additional cost to you. Yeah, for doing that. If you ever start your own press, it's not absolutely required. Not all online bookshops require an ISBN either, or some will give you a dummy ISBN, or pre-provided one, and then it's no out of pocket to you. Like a lot of self-published authors get pre-provided ISBNs because it is expensive, but if you want your imprint, right, to show, tied to the ISBN, right, whatever the name of your press is or magazine, right, then, you probably want to purchase your own ISBNs, right, to have that imprint name visible too and attached to it. Yeah, so that's it. You can see here, I don't know if you can see on my screen. Oh yeah, this was advanced praise. I just like scrolled past too fast. So it was advanced praise, so totally, so it may help, to get the book in the hands of others, in the community or editors, right? And they could do a bite-sized feedback or review of it or advanced praise and things like that. Or even afterwards, it may happen, and you could put it in like the shop section too, or wherever it's sold, and update it. Quotes from whoever reviewed it. Totally. So that's awesome. And then yeah, so you can see here it says $15. There is it looks like a Klarna integration here. So Klarna, I think, that's where you can like give others the option to pay in split out payments, right? The thing about that, I think, like if you have late fees of Klarna, I could be wrong, but I think it tacks on some additional late fees, right? If you don't have pay it on time. So I like to just like, if I'm ever purchasing, let's say a book or anything in general, right? I think I've even seen this on some other listings like Etsy or something, right? Anyways, I just like to pay the full amount because I think late fees kind of suck, right? And then it just makes it more, you're actually paying more sometimes with all those late fees, right? So just keep that in mind. But anyways, some do like that, the splitting out payments and stuff. So yeah, so that's the press. Let's look at the full. I wasn't on the full page. So yeah, these are the, it says books, right? Collections of poetry, prose, and hybrid work. So I'm just scrolling through for you guys. So yeah, these covers are very nice. And yeah, so we have quite a lot here in terms of press publications from Bullshit Press, yeah. And I know I've said it so many times. I feel like, yeah, you guys gonna count how many times they say bullshit lit or bullshit press in this podcast? I'm just joking, you guys. But yeah, so yeah, these covers are very nice, absolutely very cool. And yeah, I believe, I don't know, I think Veronica said she again is a one person team, but I don't know if she does all of the cover art herself. In either case, if she does, pretty awesome. I think it's hard to create cover art in general, and sometimes presses they do some unique, you could say like designs with the solely the title of the publication too. And yeah, so we see that here, and sometimes there is graphics behind here. So in either case, I think these titles look very cool. I haven't picked up any to date myself, but I might have to absolutely in the near future. Because I would say I'm a fan of Veronica, the work Veronica does at Bullshit Lit and Bullshit Press, absolutely. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so there's some fun titles here. Oh, there's a comic here. So, Mutant Desert Adventure. That one looks really interesting. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's cool. A comic about two people and their adventures as they make their way through the desert. I like that, guys. I'm in the desert. Well, not actually the desert, but desert environment right in Nevada. So this one looks interesting to me, a mutant desert adventure. So I think it's a comic. Yeah. So yeah, you can do a lot of creative things like with your own press, right? You could do comic series and combine it with poetry even. Just keep in mind again when you're working with other artists or, whether or not you're going to do all of the designs yourself, that could be more work for you. If you're going to involve other artists, right, there's going to be, additional costs to do that, right? And then you have to also come up with contractual agreements with artists typically too. Things like that on terms of usage. Some artists, totally let you license again the artwork. Maybe I'll do a separate episode on this, but I talked about it a little bit on past episodes. So some artists let you, maybe a contractual agreement where they let you license, right, the artwork for just the cover or for other things like maybe a merch shop or, putting prints on t-shirts, or they're just like it can only be on the cover. So yeah, I think absolutely, if you're doing all the design work, the cover it yourself, you absolutely save money that way. But I think it's nice to work with different artists, or to even some places, some lit magazine journals and presses, they do art contest calls, cover art design contests, and yeah, things of that nature. So yeah, various ways you could facilitate in introducing art into your lit mag journal press. Having submission calls, donation calls, even. It's always a good idea, I think, for presses to have contractual agreements, though, over artwork, if you're going to not do it yourself. But yeah, I think Veronica does all the design work herself, I think. I haven't picked up any of these myself. But anyways, it's awesome, yeah. Yeah, so from time to time, I think some presses, they maybe work with other artists, or they maybe have the poet maybe an illustrator themselves or want to, incorporate art into their publication, right? That happens as well. So yeah, or photography. Not all presses have, interior art or photography or comics even. Every press again is a little bit different, as I showed you on this podcast, right? Yeah, so the covers are very nice, right? It's very organized, right? We have the, again, page quantity here. Yeah, 40 pages, the publication date, and yeah. So yeah, Courage. So who's Courage? You guys ever watched Courage the Cowardly Dog? But I totally did as a kid, was a huge fan of Cartoon Network. I was like, I think as a little kid, I was like, oh, hopefully one day I could work at Cartoon Network or something, because I'm formerly a cartoonist, but didn't end up happening. But I was going through some doodles the other day. I actually did find my doodle of Courage the Cowardly Dog that I drew with my computer mouse. So love this one. But yeah, I'm gonna have to pick up some of these in the future, or at least one or two, based on how much I have left in my own personal budget. Yeah, when I'm able to, I totally will try and pick up some of publications. From time to time, I have totally, picked up press publications again. And maybe I can flip through a couple examples for you guys. You can see maybe the layout of some, just like talk through it a little bit. So yeah, that's the press. Again, very cool. Yeah. What else do we have here? Okay, so we have bullshit anthologies here. So Bullshit Lit publishes one print anthology of all new work, poetry, prose, fiction, art, and so on annually. Yeah. So it looks like there's been three thus far. Yeah. Um, and then there'll probably be, right, a one for 2025, right? So you can see an anthology, right, is 192 pages. The one from August 2024. There is a PDF option, or ordering a hard copy. Let's see what happens when we go to the PDF. So it looks like it's $5 for a digital copy, right? 140 pieces of poetry, prose, and art by 98 people across 181 pages. So yeah, you could do something like that, with your, let's say you run an online lit mag or journal, right, and you want to get into print. Totally, you could start putting everything into, anthologies, right? A collection of everything, right? Essentially, that you've published through your lit mag, the work of authors and everything, and offering it, I think, in two formats is always a good idea, right? A hard copy, physical one that can be ordered, or digital. And then we have the second one, which is 180 pages, July 2023. And yeah. And then the first one, you can see here, 2023, 170 pages of August, right? August 2023. So yeah. And yeah, so it says hard copies sold out and download the PDF returning soon. So yeah. So some lit mag journals and presses, they sell strictly off of their website, right? Or some do distribute it out to other channels, so keep that in mind. It's totally up to you whether you want to do that or not. I think it's a good idea to explore distribution. Again, I covered in a couple different episodes on this podcast various places that vet your publication, for getting into their distribution channels. That's sort of like where you send them your inventory. They handle all the inventory tracking and all of that, right, for you, right? So totally, listen back to those episodes on distribution options, and some of the other, places for digital print distribution. And on this podcast series, you'll come across them. But yeah, that's awesome. So, Veronica totally does a lot. We have anthologies, we have, the press, the online features, right? And horns, I believe, right, as well. So yeah. So horns is this here, the so it's the imprint, right? Dedicated, it says, to the sexy, smutty NSFW writing and art. Yeah, so two issues released annually. So yeah, it looks like, again, you can see here what it basically looks like and entails. So let's see how much the PDF version of this is, for the issues. So $5, yeah. And yeah, you can price, your issues digitally however you want to. Every place prices things differently, but I think it's a good idea to see examples of how some editors have priced things, in terms of digital issues and publications. You know, obviously the digital version is going to be less expensive than a physical hard copy, so just keep that in mind. And so it looks like this one, issue 4, was 19 people, 40 pages, back in February 14th, 2024. And so a hard copy can be ordered of it, right? $15, paperback. And so yeah, I'm just scrolling through, see guys. Yeah, so yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Valentine's Day, and we have the various issues, yeah, horns issues, so that's cool. So yeah, I think this is I wanted to share, again, bullshit lit, because I think and bullshit press, because I think it goes to show you again, and I've covered others, right? Tokyo Poetry Journal Press as well. Other lit mags journals out here, right, or in existence in the world, that have both a lit mag and a press. It is, of course, more work for the founding editor, especially if you're solo like Veronica, doing all of that, right? Writing a press, running the lit mag, facilitating or doing the cover design and the listings. And it looks like also awards and nomination events are here, right? So there's the pushcart nominations. Looks like bullshit lit and press nominates for, right? And then there is also the BOOB awards, the boob awards. So yeah, if we click on that, you know, oh, so it says this year we forgot to send in. So there was a year, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Anyways, there was a page back when I had submitted to Bullshit Lit in the past, where they had created, I don't know if this is still a thing or if that was it, but where they had, I mentioned this on the podcast, created their own awards event, outside of, the common ones, right? Push card, best of the net, all of that, right? So you could totally create your own awards event too, like a poet of the year. Some places do that. Maybe I'll share some lit mags or journals out there that do that. Or yeah, things like that. You could hold an annual contest, or give an award through that. It's really up to you. But again, I covered some of the most common nomination events on this podcast. And most recently, I think one nomination event was discontinued. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Yeah, so you can find that on this podcast, typical nomination events to enter, right? Your lit mag, or, the work you accept, every year, right? You can select based on the guidelines a certain amount of pieces, right? For push cart, best of the net, there's even best new poets, right? Various events throughout the year. And yeah, I think it's worth it to enter the ones that absolutely have no fees to enter, right? Push cart and best of the net, right? As of 2025, right? Those are still ongoing, right? They've been around for quite some time. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, so everything's very organized, and then we have the submission guidelines at the bottom here. So I typically cover this, in the beginning, but let's go through it. So yeah, this is the submission guidelines page. Again, it was linked at the bottom, but it's also available in the menu. I typically cover this towards the beginning again in the podcast, but that's okay, going out of order a little bit than I typically do. So yeah, I might as well read it for you guys, since I typically do try. Sometimes I miss things. You always want to reread the guidelines. Don't just go off of what you hear me say again. Or sometimes guidelines change or get updated, for different calls, or if lit mags restructure, sometimes over time. Yeah. But yeah, just to give you guys, if you're starting your own lit mag journal, I think it helps to, read guidelines of other lit mags and journals and presses out there. So for online features at Bullshit Lit, it looks like, again, they're about to, I believe, open back up here. And there was, again, that letter. You might want to read it in full from Veronica, right? What's ahead and everything. I read brief bits of it to you guys. And yeah. So up to 6 pieces, is permitted, right? And then it can be poetry, prose, visual art, fiction, a game or whatever. No formatting requirements. Follow your heart, it says here. No length minimum, 6 pages maximum. and it states totally cool, with simultaneous subs. Of course, you always just let others be aware, right? The founding editor, right? If it has been accepted elsewhere, places are have a little bit different notes around this, so just keep that in mind. Maybe I'll show you a couple more examples of this too. So it says no previous published work, please, but there is an exception with, I believe that's an asterisk, right? So at the bottom, right, I think so. Right here, you can see, right, if you're looking at my screen. So it states, right, I believe personal blogs plus defunct mags are okay. So yeah, I believe that's what it's referring to. If we go back on Chill Subs here on the overview page, publishes reprints. So I think that's what the exception is for. I'm not entirely sure, because it wasn't like side by side with this, but I think it's an additional note. If you're ever not 100% sure about anything in a guideline or in terms of that, even if a place accepts international submissions, things like that, you can always reach out and ask, if it's not clearly specified. But typically, if you read a publication and you see that, any notes there, pertaining to, or in the bios, a poet may be, internationally located, things like that, you can totally tell. But if you're ever not sure, always a good idea to ask. Don't bombard, of course, editors with emails and questions. Just try to send one if you have a legit question. You're really, really not sure. Totally. It's okay to reach out. Some places have Discord channels, some, an inbox, right? Contact, information. So, yeah, you just have to be patient and wait if you have a question, of course. Yeah, so, Bullshit Lit at this time appears to be managing all submissions via email. Again, every place is a little bit different, So, yeah, you could totally run a lit mag, your own press, solely through email, for several years, a lot of places do that, I personally do like submission management systems, of course, an additional cost, but thus far, I've covered a couple on this podcast, the ones I am most familiar with, and a couple other ones just sharing their existence, right? Again. But yeah, I really love Subfolio. I mentioned on this podcast a couple times because I think it's very cool. I think it's a great submission management system, Subfolio. And yeah, I think managing, 200, 300, even 500 or 1,000 submissions can be very tough to do all via email. It's totally possible, but I think some things can get lost. I think it happens, I think it's, even, doing it solo, I think it's nice with submission management systems, especially if you have a reading team or staff. I think you can have easily share things, collaborate, communicate, swap, notes, reassign things, and it's not too bad, at all. You can set up workflows, rules. You can have a moderated list, manage any spammy, submitters or, harassing things like that. But yeah, it's possible to start off just off of solely email. Totally. It's up to you. Some publications have been around managing submissions, nothing but email for 5 years and so forth, 6, 7, and yeah. But I think it's just up to you. What works best for you in terms of organizing and managing that. Yeah, I think it's nice that submission management systems have an archive. Most have an archive of some kind, an archival system. So, you're not, relying on your email storage a bunch, which has additional costs if you go over, right? Typically, if you want to keep, an archive or record in your email of things too. So, anyways, yeah, so that's online features and Horns issue 6. So, yeah, TBD, it says here. So, send up to 3 pieces of your finest, again, sexy, smutty NSFW shit. This can be poetry, prose, visual art, fiction, whatever. No formatting requirements. Follow your heart again, and then max of 4 pages a piece, please. And yeah, states quick and dirty, and that could be also short and sweet, I guess. Yeah. And it says here, cool with simultaneous subs again, right? You just inform again, Veronica, if it's been accepted elsewhere. No previous published work again, and then same thing. Whichever category you're submitting to when it's open, right? You typically want to put your submission title, the call it's for, right? Is it for horns? Is it for online features? Yeah, you want to be very mindful about that in your submission. Um, I think in submission management systems, I showed you on this podcast, right? It's always to easily find things, anytime you're submitting something, it's a good idea to divide your submission. Like, let's say you're submitting multiple pieces. It's a good idea to put a divider, like forward slash between titles, and then like dash online features, or, if it's via email, if in a submission management system, the call will already be in the, bucket, right? So you just put the titles and separate it out by forward slashes if they allow more than one piece. It just makes it easier when you're searching, for titles. Yeah. In the example I gave, I just put, 3 poems and 2 poems, right? Because I took out the titles of those pieces because those were, ones I had that were personal pieces, not yet reviewed. But yeah. Anyway, just be mindful about, if you're a submitter listening to this, how you're titling your emails, and things like that. And yeah. So again, same thing applies, right? Brief third person bio, social media links, pronouns. And then so the note here, again, I think that's referring personal blogs plus defunct mags are okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no previous published work, I believe, nothing that's been already appeared in other literary magazines or journals. If it's like a personal blog space or defunct mags, that's okay. Some lit magazine journals are totally okay. Also, with like social media poems, but a lot of places do consider that previously published. There are very few places out there that do allow reprints, but there are quite a lot out there that do and don't. So you have to just again do some digging search, use the databases out there, that I've shared in this podcast, Chill Subs, Duotrope, right? You're bound to find them. Submission management systems have discover pages you can filter for those different opportunities, right? No fee. But always, drill into places using submission man systems, and things like that. Always read very carefully, agreements and stuff. Before working on your submission, you want to make sure, that, there's, there are no fees to submit to bullshit lit or bullshit press, which is awesome, no fee at all. So that's great. As of 2025 still, sometimes places change and restructure things. So I always say that as of 2025. So yeah, for books. So it looks like this is going to open up 2026. Yeah. So it says send your book, no genre or formatting requirements here either. Of course, it should be easy to read, right? Nothing, don't choose like a hard font that's really tough to read, obviously. And then it says bullshit publishes poetry collections, but mostly doesn't mean much. And then 15-ish to 100-ish pages. And then, yeah. So it says you can send your full length collection. So, yeah, every place is a little bit different in terms of length requirements again and things like that. So I'll just reiterate this again. Don't just, send the same manuscript off to every single press in existence, right? Because every place has different length requirements. Some actually do have genre requirements or require it to be themed or to be so strictly fiction, or, it's very specific. So just be mindful about that, right? And some places absolutely don't want any identifying information in your submission. Some are totally okay. If you put in here like it says, your third person bio and the email and everything, so that's permitted. But the thing I like about submission management systems, again, you can conceal all of that information and only focus on the work at hand, right? Most submission management systems out there have that option. Not all. But yeah, like Subfolio, that's possible. Submittable, that's possible, and other ones out there too. Totally. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So a cover letter isn't necessary. It says, but it's nice to get a sense of who you are, who is submitted. Um, Not interested, it says here, in children's books or a 500-page tome of a memoir. And totally, yeah, lit mags, it says here, lit mags and journal editors, right, or of founders of presses can totally tell, if you're not familiar with the work the press publishes, because, every place, again, has a very distinct vibe and, overall. So always a good idea to pick up, if you can't pick up physical books or issues and things like that, or books from the press, I mean, yeah, do the print the PDF option if there is one available. But if not, it may, and you're really really keen on submitting to place, it may be totally worth it to pick up at least one book or publication from a press, to get a sense of what they're looking for, or one or two, totally. So for the anthology, right? So yeah, it looks like this is for winter 2025. Send up to 3 pieces of your finest bullshit. This could be poetry, prose, visual art, fiction, puzzles, whatever. Max of 5 pages, per piece, it says here. Yeah. And then loosey goosey on this rule. So it seems like Veronica is flexible here on this for the anthology. But yeah, no forming requirements. Again, follow your heart. Simultaneous subs are okay. Just inform if it's been accepted elsewhere. No previous published work. Again, personal blogs, defunct mags are okay, right? Yeah. And then yeah, you might just want to specify that. I think some places do want you to take it down if it's on a personal blog or on from a or somewhere like that. A lot of places don't want to publish pieces that have already appeared, typically in other lit magazine journals, but some places are totally okay with that. But for the most part, not. So yeah, no previous published work. And yeah, so in your email, like again, a brief third person bio, social media links, and pronouns. So not every place has this structure again, but just wanted to cover the guidelines the best I could if possible. Again, it reiterates, zero rights as I stated earlier, and listed on Chill Subs Duotrope. There are other places again that your Litmag Journal Press, right? If you start it, can be listed in. You just have to meet the requirements. Some places require you to be active or publish 1 to 2 titles a year to be listed. I think that was Poets and Writers for presses. I could be wrong on the quantity. I think that's not exact, but yeah. Yeah. So when you're submitting for listing, just they may say, oh, you have to do this, or this, or they may have instructions for you, or reasons why you can or cannot be listed. So yeah, for the most part, Chill Subs, Duotrope, it's pretty simple to get listed on those two. It's not, there are requirements, of course, qualification requirements for Duotrope and things like that, and Chill Subs, right? Being active and things like that, right? So yeah. But yeah, so I think that's it. I think I've covered all the pages of Bullshit Lit and Bullshit Press. The shop is here, right? So let's go to the shop. So yeah. There is a merch shop, it looks like here. Let's take a look at it. So so yeah, the t-shirt is I write bullshit. So yeah, you can have fun with your merch shop, totally. You can sell t-shirts and $20 it looks like. Yeah. So I like it. Yeah. I should totally get that shirt, guys, right? I mean, like, just based on everything I said on this podcast, right? Yeah. So anyways, I think yeah. So yeah, there's bundles it looks like here. What are bundles? Let's see, guys. I didn't click on that. So I don't think there's anything under bundles quite yet. Maybe that's a new category or something. I don't know. So yeah. So I covered books, print editions, yeah, and all of that. So yeah, definitely check out more of Bullshit Lit and Bullshit Press. Pick up the Horns issues. The chapbooks look awesome. Very fun titles. Absolutely, some of these for sure. I'm gonna have to look at these a bit further when I get a chance, and yeah. So definitely very cool. The work at Bullshit Lit and Bullshit Press. Um, yeah. The vibe here listed on Joseph's was picky but possible. So yeah, and so that's pretty much it. Again, they've been bookmarked 719 times on Chill Subs, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's Bullshit Lit. I must say, Veronica Bennett has created a very cool publication, or I should say, publication series, right? So Bullshit Lit, Bullshit Press, the anthologies, the press, the issues, right? Horns, all of that, the online features, right? I think it just wanted to show you, again, another example of what's possible if you want to start your own lit mag journal press. Yeah. So it's a very clean site layout, I'd say overall. It has a search available over the online features. And yeah. And then I think, over time, as, anthologies, books get into, anything like a super high amount, right? Always a good idea to have a search eventually too, but it's very easy to find everything, a very organized layout. So yeah, definitely check out more of the titles. I hope this episode helped you. I just give, sometimes some tours of Solit Mags, journals, and presses out there, and talk a little bit about their guidelines, and their structure. And yeah, so I think, again, they're coming up on their right birthday here, right? If we go back to, where was I? The online features, right? That there, or the blog section, there's an announcement, right? Letter from the editor. So again, just you might want to read this if you're interested in submitting in the future or upcoming. So it looks like the plans or what's ahead for bullshit lit, right? And yeah, so October 8th is the birthday, right? So again, happy birthday. And yeah, I think Veronica has done an awesome job overall, for what I can tell, here. I haven't ordered anything like that or thus far, but I have followed, the online section from time to time. I submitted in the past, way, way back. It was, I think, a couple years ago, but yeah. Nevertheless, yeah. So always good idea to be communicative, do things like this. Like Veronica has like a letter out to everyone on the mailing list somewhere. And I think Veronica also posted something on social media as well on channels to inform others of, the resurrection, right? So yeah. Yeah, 4 years, right? That's awesome. So totally check out more. And yeah, take care, guys, and I'll try to do a couple more of these. Oh, before we go, so this is additional content. I typically give movie recs or song recs or just some recommendations alongside of each podcast episode. Since I didn't cover another horror lit mag journal or press on this episode. Listen back. There are other ones from October that I did cover. Presses and lit mags focusing on horror. Totally. But again, on that past podcast episode, I said some movies, but maybe it's easier to see them. So a movie, again, I grew up watching. One of the earliest creature films was Komodo, right? 1999 film. There was just always something about it I really liked. I know it got a bad rating, but I actually really liked it. And yeah, so check it out sometime. Komodo 1999, Komodo. And then I mentioned Anaconda, the franchise, right? So I only really liked, I think, preferably the first two, and the third, I watched all the others, right? And there's a reboot coming out, a comedy, adaptation of it. But so I liked Anaconda's The Hunt for the Blood Orchid, right? I think that was 2004, right, movie. And a new one that I don't think I mentioned this one on this podcast, but Ghost of Mars. So John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. And I think was that a 2001 movie? I think I've seen it a couple times. I think my dad actually had the soundtrack a couple months ago, or not too long ago. He was playing the Ghost of Mars soundtrack on yeah, and I was like, isn't that familiar? I was like, oh, that's from the Ghost of Mars. So yeah, if you don't like, horror at all, or it has some pretty graphic scenes, I think, but it's one I watched a couple of times, and yeah, Ice Cube is in it, and yeah, but it was just one, and Jason Statham, right? So yeah, so if you've never seen it, check it out. Maybe, I don't know. And in terms of NSFW, I promise it's nothing inappropriate, but there is a song recommendation I have here, Cosette, Cosette. Sorry. So a song recommendation I have here, so Cosette, NSFW. That was actually released last month. Check it out. Really cool music Cosette has. I believe last name is Cosette Lunsford. So yeah, totally. Look up that song NSFW. There are a bunch of remixes too of it. So check out that song. It's very cool. The music video and everything. So yeah, that's in terms of movie recommendations and song recs. That's all I have. So yeah, I hope that is some gives you guys something to watch and listen to if you're looking for some recs. I typically share some on all the podcasts I do because I love music. I love writing, art, and yeah, and movies and flicks, right? I'm sure you guys have your favorite horror films. Totally. If you have any recommendations, totally comment below on wherever you're listening to. On YouTube, elsewhere. If you feel comfortable, you don't have to comment. But yeah, definitely subscribe. Do a thumbs up on platforms if you think this episode may help others or any of the episodes. I know they're quite long and lengthy, but I try to cover an overall comprehensive episode on every lit mag journal and press that I just want to talk about. So overall, I think Bullshit Lit and Bullshit Press to date, up to 2025, and I'm sure in the future it's going to continue to grow. And looking forward to seeing more issues and series. I have to pick up some, I think, at some point in time, when I have my budget allows, totally. But love reading lit magazine journals. It's always a lot of fun. So yeah, take care, guys, and yeah, wishing a happy birthday again to Bullshit Lit and Press. I know, guys. You can totally have fun with your lit mag and journal and press name. Totally. There are so many awesome ones out there. Again, Taco Bell Quarterly, and I mentioned that a couple times. This podcast even did an episode around that one too, on commentary. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, have awesome days ahead. Yeah.